So we were hearing about different groups that were gathering around the computer screen. I mean, they were reaching out to us for resources. And we got thinking, like, man, we're already producing the sermon and post-producing the sermon. We already have the discussion questions. And so really it's just a matter of sending them to equip them. And ultimately, they all wanted to be future elevation sites. So this is when we launched the extension site model.
Some sites took off. Some sites had 30 people that were meeting in the living room. Some grew to 200 quickly.
Way more than what we thought.
That was when it became an oh crap moment, because no longer were we talking Bible studies in a basement.
We kind of hit pause on starting new ones. And then we began to figure out what should we do with the existing ones that we have. One of them that just kept kind of sprouting up and growing was in Roanoke, Virginia.
It was 5 of us in my parents' basement. We had church. So the week after, though, we realized that we wouldn't be able to fit a lot of people in their basement. And so we decided to rent out the Vinton War Memorial. And that first Sunday, we had 18 people.
God has radically changed our lives, and we so wanted that for our friends. We wanted them to experience Jesus like we had.
We just knew how much our city needed what God was doing through Elevation Church.
Roanoke didn't fit kind of our original, strategy.
It didn't fit the big algorithm for sure.
We knew the experience that we had in Charlotte was life-changing for us, and nobody was going to tell us that somebody couldn't have that life-changing experience right here in Roanoke.
So when I think of Roanoke, I think small, secluded country.
Not a huge town, long way away from any big city, no thriving college campus. It wasn't, a huge population density that would, cause us to want to just jump and go there.
Yeah, it was a 5 out of 10 that they were going to make it.
When we would pray for 40 people, pray for 60 people, and 20, 14, 28 would show up.
You could just tell they were hungry for more. They wanted to reach people. And they leveraged every bit of the relational equity they had in that city, because they went to school there, went to high school there and everything. They leveraged every bit of it.
We would go to parades in Roanoke, and people just threw our invitations on the ground. One time we went to the mall at Easter time and put little eggs with candy and invitations on cars, and the security officer ran us away. We would go into Starbucks and pay for people's drinks and invite them. Anything we could do, anybody we saw.
They started to jump from the 70s into the hundreds. It really just came down to, can one person who's working 60 or 70 hours a week on the road make phone calls, answer emails, do it with a smile on their face? At about 140 people, we said, we really need to do something about it.
Well, what if we just sent a leader up to give it a go? We had this one guy that had gone through our apprenticeship program. What if we sent him up the road just to give it a try?
So, of course, the morning that I heard I was going to Roanoke, I wasn't dreaming about moving to Roanoke, Virginia, leaving all of my friends behind, leaving the city that I lived in for 10 years. That was tough.
I remember when we got the video from SWEBB saying that Dustin and Matt and Lizzie were coming up, and we were excited.
So Matt and Lizzie came down, and I guess we're here to build a church.
We just knew that if this was where we needed to be, if this is where God needed us most, then we wanted to be available to be there.
And so we just got out in the community and started building relationships.
We were constantly teaching people what it looked like to bring people to church.
And we started listening to Pastor Stephen's sermons from 2006 and 2007 and started to take that original DNA and tried to multiply that here in Roanoke.
50 people, now 200, now 400.
Week after week, we'd see them break another record.
Dustin's a go-getter. He starts to send you texts. We had 300 plus people today. I'm like, really? 400 people. I was like, oh gosh, 400 people in Roanoke? How?
So Heart and Soul is what we were doing with each of our campuses in front of the leadership of that campus.
Pastor Stephen's going to come all the way to Roanoke, Virginia and share what God's put on his heart for this city.
We need to blow this thing up.
And we're going to rent the biggest facility we can find.
We invited everyone.
We're going to pack the place out. I personally put together a voicemail and sent it out to over 3,000 people.
Any type of advertisement you could think of.
We went out in the community, gave out invites, over 5,000, anyone who would even make eye contact.
And we had billboards.
I don't think we got much traffic from the billboard.
Prayer.
Praying and fasting.
Hoping at that point that, oh my goodness, somebody show up, please.
And people started to come in the rain, early, stood in long lines. And we packed out the lobby. It was ridiculous.
My friend comes up to me, he says, you gotta come check out what's going on downstairs. And I walk downstairs, and I see the lines of people outside, and it hit me. I was like, wow, what God is doing every weekend in Charlotte, it's happening here right now.
And then we saw people start to fill in the balcony.
And one of my friends were backstage and she said, Lizzie, we're in the balcony. And I was like, what is going on? Like,
And to start seeing the lines of people just coming in, to think that it started with 5 people in a basement and over 1,500 people there that night.
So the same faith that they had with 5 people in a basement that started this whole thing is the same faith they operate with now, reaching 1,300 people every weekend.
That night, I really think, was just the starting gun for what God wants to do throughout this area.
It was just one of those nights that you kind of walk away shaking your head going, I mean, we're crazy not to try to go all in Roanoke. So now the decision's been made, and we're going to be launching a second Roanoke location early fall 2016.
It's just incredible.
It's a lot of seats for people to come and experience Jesus. We were sitting in this house, in this basement, when God showed us, if you want to reach this city, go do it.